Thank you so much for coming today. I really appreciate your attendance. This is a new series that we're offering in conjunction with our CSA voucher program. My name is Vanessa Oliver. I'm one of the dietitians with the UK Health and Wellness program. Karen, who's signing you in, is Karen Bryla McNeese. She's the other dietitian with the UK Wellness program. So if you guys have any questions, please feel free to come up and ask us after the program. Okay? So most of you are here because you're either new or fairly new CSA members. Is that right? Yeah. How do you guys feel about your CSA so far? Good? Anyone overwhelmed yet? Okay, just a little bit, right? So if you are new or pretty new to a CSA, it is a little bit of a learning curve, right? You've paid for these vegetables, you're getting them every week. You don't really know what you're going to get, but you want to use them because, you've already paid for them and they're taking up some valuable real estate in your refrigerator. So this sort of series is designed to help you maybe make a little bit of sense out of the vegetables that might be a little bit unfamiliar, okay? Because we know tomatoes, we know zucchini, we know corn, but we may not know kohlrabi or Napa cabbage or garlic scapes, which we are going to talk about today. So just by a show of hands, who received these in their basket this week? All right, yeah, so quite a lot of you. Had anyone seen them before? A few of you? Okay. Had you actually used them before? No. Okay. Yeah, so these can tend to be a little bit scary, right? You're like, oh, I don't know. I never see these at the Kroger. I'm not really sure what's going on. So what are they? Well, the good news is they're edible, so you can, relax about that. But what they are is they're actually the center flower stem of a hard-necked garlic plant. And hard-necked garlic is generally what you see in your grocery stores. It tends to store longer, and so that's why it's most commonly grown for commercial use. But this is the flower stem, and you can tell it looks like there is a little bit of a flower there. That actually doesn't really turn into a flower, but if you were to break it open, you would find seeds. And these little seeds would eventually, if planted, turn into a garlic plant, but it would take a couple years. So for that reason, when you plant garlic, if you are ever curious at home, you actually plant the individual cloves that come off of the bulb, right? So the big thing is the bulb, and the little ones are the clove, and then this is the flower stem that comes out of the center of the plant. So that's where they come from. Generally, the farmers will snap or cut or mow these off in order to divert more energy into developing the underground bulb. All right. So commercial farmers generally tend just to mow and compost or mow and toss because they don't really have a wholesale channel to sell these garlic scapes. But a lot of smaller farmers who are looking to put the value in added value products want to be able to use as much of the plant as they can. And you may have seen something called green garlic at the farmers markets a little bit before this, right? So green garlic is actually the whole plant. It's the whole baby garlic pulled up from the ground and all, okay? And often farmers will sell those at markets if they're trying to thin out their garlic patch in order to create more room for that underground bulb development, okay? So that's the first step. This is the next step, and once these are snapped, then the garlic plant can put all of its energy into developing a good-sized garlic bulb for later harvest, all right? So there is a short season for these, and they are in season now, as you have noted, since you've gotten them a lot in your boxes. So they're a little bit early, actually, but it's generally June and July that you'll see them. As I noted, you won't see them really in larger grocery stores. You might find them at places like the Co-op or smaller farm stores, okay? But you'll usually get them either loose or in bunches at the market or in your box. So how do you store them? That's usually the first question that people ask me. How have you guys been storing them in your fridge? Shoving them in there and closing the door and not looking? Yeah, so yeah, you can put them in a bag if you receive them in a bag. If there's a rubber band around the bunch, I would suggest that you take that rubber band off. And that's kind of a good idea for any vegetable that has a rubber band around it, because what that can do over time is create a little bit of cell damage to the plant, and that can encourage a little bit of bacterial growth and make things go bad faster. So anytime you have any sort of vegetable with any sort of constriction, just go on and cut that off, okay? So you can keep them in a bag in your refrigerator, and they will last for about a week or two. After that, they'll start to get a little bit tough, so you may not want to use them in the ways that I'm going to show you today beyond that. But they would still be good if you wanted to throw, like if you were making chicken stock or something like that, you just wanted to throw them in there for some flavor, they would still be good at that point for that flavor. Another way to store them is to make a pretty bouquet. All right, so you can actually store them in the refrigerator like this if you don't have little hands reaching in and out all day. If you do, then a thing full of water may not be the best idea. Or you can store them on your counter, use them as a centerpiece on your table. I know women who have put them in their bridal bouquet because they are kind of pretty like that. So that's another way that you can store them. Any questions so far about storage or what they are or anything? Okay, I'm going to get to the cooking. All right, so the first thing that I do, we're going to do 3 things today, okay? And the first thing that I'm going to talk about is something that can be done to a lot of different vegetables that are kind of unfamiliar, okay? And it's one of the things that I usually recommend to people if they're just at their wit's end, and that is to pickle, okay? So you can do a quick pickle or a long-term pickle. A quick pickle is going to be done in the refrigerator. This is not going to be a shelf-stable pickle. So if any of you have memories of your mom or your grandmom with a big pot of water and like the tongs and dipping in there, you know, this is not that pickle. This is something that you can do very quickly and store in your refrigerator for about up to 3 weeks or so, okay? And what I've got in the pot here is a mixture of vinegar and water, and you can see that you've got that recipe card in front of you there. You can use any vinegar that you like as long as it's at least 5% acidity. So that's generally going to be your white vinegar and your apple cider vinegar. I wouldn't recommend balsamic for this kind of preparation. 1, it's usually kind of expensive, and 2, it's not quite the flavor that you're looking for. So you want to bring that up to a boil with some salt and some sugar. All right, the sugar is optional, but it does give it a little bit of a nice flavor. And then pick a jar. I usually use a pint jar, okay? And if you have a wide mouth jar, so much the better. It's just a little bit easier to get things in there. Then you can use a mixture of spices, and I've got some recommendations on the card in front of you. What I've got in here today are peppercorns, yellow mustard seeds, allspice berries, and a little bit of star anise, just because I really like star anise. It's pretty, and it tastes like licorice. Not everyone likes licorice, so I did not put that in the demo jar for you guys today. And whenever, you can use really whatever spices that you like. Some people will use a cinnamon stick, but you want to make sure that they're whole spices. The ground spices won't hurt you at all. They'll still taste good, but they'll cloud up the liquid a little bit, so it just may not be as visually appealing, okay? And then once you've got your whole spices in the jar, go on and cram as many of these guys as you can into the jar. And you'll see that I've cut them up kind of into jar-like lengths. The good thing about scapes is that they naturally curve, so they will fit in your jar kind of easily, and they'll look cool while doing it. You can include the, this mic. You can include the flower stem in there as well. That part is very edible. And then you just sort of wait for that to come to a boil. Since it's just a small amount of water and vinegar put together, it won't take very long to do that at all. So it's just about up to a boil now. Have you guys pickled things before? Some of you, yes. Some of you know. What sorts of things have you done? Cucumbers, refrigerator cucumbers, yep. That's especially, you know, because cucumbers tend to come on quite fast, right? So that's a good way to use them up and to keep them sort of nice and crunchy. I was talking to one of you about turnips earlier. If you guys get turnips in your basket, that's a great way to use them up as well. You can create a quick pickle with those. Beets or okra or jalapeno peppers are also good things to pickle as well. All right, this is coming to a boil, so I'm going to turn it off. So I've used white vinegar in this preparation, and the one I'm going to serve you guys today, I used cider vinegar. And I'm going to go on and put the lid on this and let it cool before I put it in the refrigerator. But I'll keep this in the refrigerator. Usually you'll get good flavor development in a couple hours, but it's going to be best after a week or so. And like I said, it'll keep for about 3 weeks in the fridge. And I do have some here that I'll pass out a little bit later so you guys can try what they taste like. All right, so that is a really quick and easy way to use up a good handful of scapes. All right, yeah, Annette.
What do you do with them once they're pickled?
Oh, that's a great question. So you would eat them as you would a pickle. So of course you want to like a pickle, right? You can put them on a sandwich. You can add them to a cheese plate. You can just snack on them straight from the refrigerator. Okay, so they have a good amount of crunch. They've got that good vinegar tang, you know, and that can be really satisfying, especially on a warm day. Any other questions? No? Yes.
When you did the display, I didn't catch, do you put water in the base?
Yes. So you want to treat them like a flower, like a plant, and that will keep them fresher a little bit longer. Yeah. Any other questions so far? All right. All right. I'm going to go on now and show you how to use garlic scapes just like regular garlic. Okay? Because a few of you did note, yes, I tasted it. It tastes like garlic. That's what, you know, I think I should do, but I'm not sure if that's what I should do. And yeah, the answer is yes. You can use garlic scapes just like you would regular garlic. And on the postcard that has just a picture of the scapes, you'll see that there are different preparation suggestions on there. So you can saute it like garlic. You can pickle it, as I mentioned. You can put it in a stir fry, toss it with pasta, or put it in a frittata, or really any way that you guys like regular garlic. Of course, you do have to like garlic. So that's something that you want to make sure that you do. But what I'm doing right now is just cutting them into cross sections, kind of on the smaller side, but that's going to be up to you. Again, I am going to use that flour part of it. Okay. And I'm going to toss these into my salad bowl. In this bowl, I've already got some whole grains cooked. I'm using bulgur today, but you can use whatever you would like. This is just a nice way to create a really quick salad. Bulgur is one of the quicker cooking whole grains. And you all know that we recommend whole grains as part of a healthy diet, right? Do you guys know why? None of us get enough fiber, you guys. So eating your whole grains is a good way to do that, along with eating some of your vegetables as well. So once you've got these sort of cut into small bits, you can really add anything you want. With a whole grain base, some protein is always a good idea to add. I'm adding black beans today just to keep this vegetarian. But you could certainly add some cooked diced chicken, some tuna, some turkey, anything that you like that would be a protein. For a little bit of color, I'm going to add some diced tomato. These tomatoes are locally grown tomatoes as well. I tried to get as much as I could that was local. Citrus is a little hard to find that's local, but I'm adding that as well. This is a mixture of orange and lemon juice with a little bit of olive oil as well. And I'm just going to add some salt and pepper. So if anyone was timing me, that took about a minute and a half. Of course, I already had the grains cooked, but it's an easy way to make a quick side or vegetable or vegetarian main dish. This would also be good on some salad greens. You could bring it for lunch. It's going to keep really well. Just going to taste it for seasoning. That tastes pretty good to me. It's got a good garlic flavor as well. And we're going to go on and pass this around. We'll have a bowl for each table, and you all have plates in front of you. Oh, we need silverware too. Are we okay? Okay. Okay. So that was just an example of how you can use garlic scapes just like regular garlic, okay? You can see that you do want to cut them up into smaller pieces, but any way that you want to do that would be good, all right? So who has already branched out with preparing the garlic scapes? What have you done?
I think I just put in some spaghetti sauce.
Yeah.
I kind of cut them up real small.
And did you saute them first? Or did you?
I think so, with some onions and stuff.
Okay. So you treated it just like regular garlic, like you would? Yeah?
Cross between a garlic and a green onion.
A lot of people think like they're going to taste like green onions because they kind of look like green onions, and then they're a little bit surprised when they taste like garlic.
They tasted like garlic.
Yeah.
I tasted it first, but the texture of it, I just kind of...
Yeah, the texture is a little bit different, and that's why I usually like to cut it pretty small. Who else said that they had used it already? In the back there?
The stir fry.
In a stir fry? Did you cut it in small lengths like that, or did you cut it larger? Okay. If you're doing it like a stir fry, you can certainly cut it in small lengths, but another way is to cut it almost in the same size that I did for the pickles. And you can even steam those a little bit first, so they're almost kind of green bean size, and serve them as a side. Now you would have to, of course, like the garlic in order to do that, but by steaming them or blanching them in a little bit of water, you are going to sort of make the flavor a little bit milder. And so that can be another way to try the garlic scapes. One more person. Who else has already used them? I see another hand go up. Yes.
Also stir fry.
Also a stir fry. Okay. Yeah, it lends a good garlic flavor. It can be a little bit easier to chop up than regular garlic. So, but hopefully you'll continue to use them in other ways besides a stir fry as well. And this is going to be the last way that I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to do a pesto. And this is something that you can actually buy prepared at the farmer's market. One of the vendors is a garlic vendor, and they do sell this commercially prepared. So what I've got here, and you do have the recipe on your card, all right, but I've got some just really quick chopped garlic scapes here. I'm going to go on and put those in my food processor. And this is going to make some noise, so I apologize. So once they start to get chopped, you can add any nut that you like. In the recipe that you have in front of you, it recommends raw sunflower seeds. I had almonds, so that's what I'm using. That's how I cook. I just sort of try and find a close approximation if I don't have the exact ingredient, and I urge you all to do the same too. That's how you sort of get more comfortable in the kitchen, right? But if you are making pesto, one thing I will tell you, always toast your nuts if you can. You're going to get more flavor, and you can use a little bit fewer if you want to, since they can be a little bit expensive. So I did toast these and salt them also for extra flavor. And I'm going to put these in here. So if any of you have a nut allergy, then this next one is not for you. Okay? I'm going to let that go. Now I'm adding some olive oil. The olive oil that is the measurement that's listed in your recipe is a pretty good approximation, but you're also going to want to look at it by eye. Okay, so depending on the texture that you're looking for, you might add a little bit more or a little bit less than what the recipe says. Let that go for a little bit. All right. And then because a lot of us do expect that basil flavor when we make pesto, right? I am going to add a little bit of fresh basil in here. And then I'm also going to add something that might surprise you guys. So who has already been scared by the amount of greens in their box? Yeah. Okay. So you're going to get a lot of kale, a lot of mustard greens, a lot of turnip greens, a lot of maybe radish greens, and you're not really going to know what to do. I'll tell you what, pesto will take care of a lot of this for you. Okay, you can make really pesto out of anything. Pesto just means pounded. Okay, it doesn't mean basil. So you can go on and make pesto with any type of green, add some basil, add some garlic. It's going to taste delicious. You can, of course, use it with pasta, like many of you were putting in pasta sauce, but it's also a great topper for chicken or salmon. You can mix it into oil and vinegar to make a salad dressing, or it's also really good tossed with scrambled eggs. So I am going to put some chopped kale in this pesto. And if anyone is a fan of hiding vegetables in their food, not necessarily something I recommend, but then this is a way to do that. Okay, I'm adding a little bit more oil. I'm adding some grated Parmesan cheese. I'm going to grab some salt and pepper. You can see that I cook by eye, but I do have the measurements listed on your recipe card, okay? I'm one of those people that annoys everyone when they ask me for the recipe. I'm like, I don't know. So you just process that until you reach the desired consistency. This looks pretty good to me, if you all can see it. This would be really nice tossed with pasta, or as I said, used as a topper. I don't know if I mentioned it either, but you can mix it in with Greek yogurt or cream cheese and make a nice dip. That's something good to bring to a party. And you can also dip some raw vegetables in that too, and it's delicious. And we do have some to pass around here. These are just on a Triscuit with some locally grown cherry tomatoes. So if you guys just want to try one and pass it on, you got it? You're welcome. And then I've just got one jar of the scapes here, but if anyone wants to try these, and then pass it on as well. And if you guys, just for comparison, want to try the newly pickled scapes, you can, but they're not going to have quite as much flavor. All right, if anyone wants to try those, they can come up and do that after the class, okay? Okay. So I just threw a lot of information at you, I realize. But what do you guys think so far? Any like surprises? No vampires in this room, you know, we know. So we're keeping them away, right? But what did you guys think? What's your, if you've tried everything, what's your favorite?
I goofed when I did it. I just used the flower part, chopped it, sauteed it. I didn't realize I could use the whole stem.
Oh, wow, what a great observation. Yeah, you can use the whole thing. Yes, the whole part is edible. As I noted, they will toughen up a little bit if left in the refrigerator too long, so you do want to use them within about a week or two. This pesto preparation is pretty great because it actually freezes really, really well, and it stays bright green, unlike regular basil pesto. If you've noted, sometimes that gets a little bit brown. If you are going to make this for the freezer, you can store it in little plastic containers like this. They make containers that are specific for the freezer. You can even use jars, although having glass in the freezer may not be a great idea. But if you do make this for the freezer, the one suggestion I'd give you is to leave the cheese out and add that to service. Yeah, the moisture, high level of moisture in the cheese can cause it to form more ice crystals in your pesto, and so it won't harm it so much, but it might affect the integrity a little bit. And when you store it, add a little protective layer of olive oil on the top, and that will help create a barrier from over freezing as well. But it'll last for 6 months or to a year in the freezer. I have some in my freezer right now. So that's a great way just to preserve the flavor of fresh garlic throughout the year. Okay. Any other comments or questions about things you've tried today?
I really like the pickle.
You like the pickle?
I'm a big pickle.
I'm a big pickle person too. Yeah, you gotta love pickles. But, yeah. And you in the back there? Or?
Ask about the potency, like equivalent of one stem scape to like a garlic clove. How much do you use? You're just replacing it.
Oh, that's a good question. If you were to look at a recipe that called for a certain amount of chopped garlic, then you could use it just 1-to-1. It is going to be pretty similar. The scapes, depending on how hot it's been that year, can kind of vary in pungency. You know, so your best bet may be to try it and see how strong it is. Because for some people, there's never enough garlic, and for some people, it's easy to go overboard. But as far as a direct equivalency, yeah, I would measure it, and because one garlic clove is usually equal to about a tablespoon or so of chopped garlic. So yeah, did I see another in the cardigan there? Yeah.
Not about garlic. I mean, everything has been delicious, but the bulgur. How did you cook your bulgur?
Yeah. So with any whole grain, it's usually about a 1-to-2 ratio of grain to water, and I always add some salt. Some people will add some fat, either oil or butter. Bring it to a boil, and then once it hits a boil, turn it down to a simmer, usually covered, and let it simmer until most of the water has evaporated. Then turn the heat off and fluff it. So that's a very sort of blanket, yeah. Each grain may vary just a little bit. One way that I've also had success is to let it steam with a towel over it, and that's particularly good for rice. It creates a nice fluffy rice. So yeah, but there are charts that you can look for online if you're curious. Thanks. Yeah, I love bulgur, especially in the summer. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes.
You're saying that you could add different greens to that pesto.
Yeah.
Also add, I got some Swiss chard in my pesto.
Certainly, yeah. Yeah, you can add the Swiss chard to your greens, and a cool thing to your pesto, cool thing about Swiss chard that a lot of people don't really realize is that the stems are edible, and if you were to pickle some garlic scapes, you could actually add the stems into that pickling liquid or just pickle them on their own, and they make a really pretty and crunchy pickle, and that's a good way to use everything that you have. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes.
The comment that, and I don't know if everybody would like this, but for those kinds of pestos, we also get.
Yeah. Yeah, excellent. Yeah, any herb you can throw in. It doesn't have to be basil. You can do oregano or mint or tarragon, really just depending on what flavor you go for, but a lot of those really go well with the lighter proteins like fish or chicken, definitely, or vegetables. Any other questions?
I forgot the tomato, black beans, bulgur.
Yeah, so that had tomato, black bean, some citrus. I used oil, lemon and orange along with the olive oil and salt and pepper. And I didn't provide a recipe for that. The reason being is because I just was sort of hoping to showcase how it can be used just raw like regular garlic and just encourage you to experiment. Any whole grain, any protein, any sort of oil and acid, and you can create a nice dish with this garlic scape. Yeah. Any other questions? And we've got more food too if anyone is interested, but I'm going to go on and do the prize drawing in the interest of time since we've got a few minutes left. What I'll be doing for each of these classes is we will have an apron for each participant. Okay, so we're going to try to keep it, one apron per person. So if you get an apron the first time, maybe not every time, right? How many aprons does one need, really? So that does have, it's a great apron. It's got pockets, which I always appreciate in the kitchen. So I hope you all are able to use that. But I'll also be giving away one of these each class. And this is really popular right now. It's a Spiralizer. Does anyone oh my gosh, look at it. Yeah, everyone's excited. Yeah. So this is a Spiralizer. A lot of people will see things like this on Pinterest, maybe, if you're a Pinterest fan. And it is a way to create sort of noodles or pasta out of vegetables. And as I mentioned earlier, none of us eat enough fiber. Whole grains are a great way to do that, and so is increasing your vegetable intake. So you can use carrots or zucchini or yellow squash. You feed them in one end. This is all manual. There's no motor on this, okay? But you feed them in one end and turn it, and according to what blade you put in, and there are different blades in here, it'll come out in different widths, okay, in different shapes. So I've been playing with this at home. It is kind of fun. You can, once you create the veggie noodles, sometimes they're called zoodles if they're made with zucchini, then you can either serve them raw or lightly saute them. They don't take very much cooking time at all. And then toss them with your favorite sauce preparation, maybe with some garlic scape pesto for a very low carb and veggie friendly dish. Okay, so I'm going to draw a name. Did everyone fill out a raffle ticket before I do this?
Folks, I came in a little later. I put your names on a ticket for you.
Okay. All right. I'm not looking. And the winner is Annette. Aww. There you go. Use it in good health. All right, well, any other questions before we close out today? Okay, if you want to come up and talk to me privately and get some more food, we've got some more bulgur salad. If you want to try the pesto that has the extra kale in it, then you're welcome to do that. We've got plenty of crackers as well, so don't be shy. All right, well, thank you so much for coming to the first Veg Out. Keep an eye on your email for the next secret vegetable that's coming. These will be held every second Thursday for the months following July, August, and September. Same time, same place. Okay, thanks you guys.